Hi, I'm Dr. Asha Priyanka, your public health dentist, and today we won't be studying a topic, we'll conduct a trial. The mouth will be on trial today. Let's see the effects of nutrition on oral tissues. Order, the courtroom is now in session. Today, we are here to decide, is nutrition guilty of damaging oral tissues, or is it a silent hero protecting them? The accused stands before us. The first one is enamel hypoplasia, next is bleeding gums, next is periodontal breakdown, and the next is oral cancer risk. Now all the fingers point towards nutrition. So, the judge speaks. The courtroom recognizes that nutrition plays a vital role in the development, maintenance, and repair of oral tissues. But both the deficiency and excess can alter the oral environment. And as dentists, our job is not to treat the damage. It is not just to treat the damage, but it is to recognize the patterns. That's where the clinical intelligence will begin. Now, let's call the first witness onto the stand. That is our teeth. When teeth are still forming inside the jaw, the nutrition acts like a construction material for a building. If the body doesn't get the right nutrients at this stage, the structure of the tooth suffers, and this can lead to enamel hypoplasia, it can lead to delayed eruption, and it can also lead to disturbances in the calcium and the phosphate balance that is required for teeth. Certain nutrients also play a crucial role here. So vitamin D helps the teeth mineralize properly, while vitamin C deficiency can lead to hypoplastic defects during the development. So remember this important for the exam line, During tooth development, nutrition affects the teeth both quantitatively and qualitatively. And one rule that you should not forget is that once the enamel forms, it cannot remodel itself again. Now, this was in the development stage or the pre-eruptive effects. Now, what about after the teeth erupt? When they enter the mouth, once the teeth erupt, nutrition is no longer something we can change or something that can change teeth, or at least how they are built. Instead, what they influence is how well they can resist the disease. All right? So frequent sugar intake will feed oral bacteria and it lead to acid attacks, which leads to dental caries. We all know this. We also have learned in the past that malnutrition weakens the mouth's natural defense system by reducing the protective salivary factors like IgA and lysozyme, while protein deficiency will reduce the enamel resistance to damage that has happened. Again, one more point is fluoride. Fluoride plays a very special role. In the right amount, it can strengthen the enamel and prevent caries, but excessive fluoride can also cause fluorosis. So, the elements in the diet of a person will influence how soluble enamel becomes in acidic conditions. In simple terms, after eruption, nutrition will determine how strong a tooth's defense system is. So let's call the second witness onto the stand. That's our oral mucosa. This is our early warning system. So the oral mucosa is often the first place where nutritional deficiencies will appear, almost like a body's warning signal. For example, vitamin A deficiency can cause dryness and keratinization of the mucosa. Vitamin D deficiencies may lead to angular cheilitis or glossitis. And iron deficiency can produce atrophic glossitis and a very pale mucosa. And vitamin C deficiency results in bleeding gums and delayed wound healing. That is why dentists sometimes detect nutritional problems before a physician does. Our next witness to the stand is the periodontium. These are the supporting structures to the teeth. The tissues supporting the teeth also heavily depend on nutrition. Protein deficiency in a person or in their nutrition will weaken collagen formation and periodontal ligament strength. While vitamin C deficiency can lead to scurvy, can lead to swollen gums, and even loose teeth in severe cases. Next, iron deficiency. This will reduce the body's immune defense system against any infection, and it makes any already existing periodontal disease much worse. So, certain nutrients actually help protect these tissues, like vitamin E. This can reduce inflammatory damage, and omega-3 fatty acids, they can improve the immune response. Calcium and phosphorus, these are essential for our alveolar bone health, and low calcium intake can accelerate the bone loss around the teeth, so bone loss will happen much faster. What you should remember is, next time when you see a patient with bleeding gums, don't just scale. Ask about their diet. Also, tell me what you would ask first. Let's discuss this. The next witness to the stand is our salivary glands, which is our body's natural mouthwash. Saliva is one of the mouth's strongest protective systems, but malnutrition can reduce salivary flow, making the mouth more vulnerable to caries. Next, zinc deficiency. This can also alter the taste perception of a person, and conditions like scurvy may further reduce the salivary protection. When saliva decreases, the mouth loses a key line of defense. Now, an expert witness. Let's call the systemic connections onto the stand. Oral health and systemic health constantly influence each other. For example, diabetes will slow the healing down and worsen any periodontal disease, and anemia may appear in the mouth as glossitis or as mucosal pallor, and obesity has been linked to increased risk of periodontitis. So nutrition doesn't only affect the mouth directly, it also affects the systemic diseases that influence oral tissues. Now let's see what the connection or protective role between nutrition and oral cancer is. Certain nutrients act like protective shields against cancer development. Vitamin A, for example, and retinoids can help inhibit tumor formation, and sometimes they're also used in managing conditions like leukoplakia. Beta-carotene works as a free radical scavenger, while vitamin C will help prevent formation of any carcinogenic nitrozymes. Vitamin E acts as an antioxidant, protecting tissues from damage, and studies also show that diets which are rich in fruits and vegetables can reduce the risk of oral and pharyngeal cancer by nearly half, whereas diets high in animal fats may increase that risk. Let's write down a simple memory takeaway for you guys. Think of nutrition affecting the mouth in 4 major ways. One is teeth. How? By the development and caries resistance. Second is the mucosa, by showing early deficiency signs. Third is the periodontium, which will show the immunity and tissue repair. And finally, our saliva, which is the protective defense. Now, if this framework is making sense for you, instead of feeling overwhelming, please stay with this series. We are building dentists who think and not just memorize. One more small point I would like to add, as this judge's observation, is a small point on nutrition in elderly people. So, people's age affects the mouth in different ways. Many elderly individuals experience reduced chewing ability, often because of their missing teeth or very ill-fitting dentures. They also may have, reduced appetite because of that, and reduced nutrient absorption due to the systemic illnesses or due to any medications that they are taking. Now, over time, this can lead to poor nutritional status, which directly affect the oral structures. One important consequence is alveolar osteoporosis, where bone supporting the teeth becomes weaker and thinner. This results in reduced bone support around that teeth or around those dentures. And to maintain oral health and general health, elderly individuals particularly require a lot of adequate intake of calcium for their bone strength, vitamin D for proper calcium metabolism, proteins for tissue repair and immune function, and vitamin B12 and folic acid for blood formation and mucosal health. So the key takeaway here is simple. As the body ages, the nutritional requirements also change, and dentists must recognize these changes when treating elderly patients. Now let's also see prevention in different levels and from the public health perspective. This quote also recognizes that improving nutrition is not only an individual responsibility. Until now, we spoke about how it affects the tissues in a person, in our patients. But let's talk about the public health side. It is public health effort at multiple levels that is required. At the family level, prevention begins with simple measures such as promoting breastfeeding and nutritional education, ensuring that children receive proper nutrients during growth. At the community level, you want programs like the midday meal scheme and vitamin A prophylaxis. They help improve nutrition among large groups, especially children. At the national level, governments implement strategies such as food fortification, iodized salt, and iron and folic acid supplementation programs to prevent all of these very widespread deficiencies. And at an international level, organizations like the WHO, UNICEF, and FAO work to improve nutrition and food security globally. So through all this, the message is quite clear. Nutrition is not just a kitchen issue, it is a public health responsibility. And this is where dentistry goes beyond the clinic and into the community. So let me give the final verdict from the judge. It is that nutrition is not guilty, and when balanced, it protects. But when deficient or excessive, it destroys. The mouth really reflects the plate. Case closed. Now let's just have a rapid and small revision part. Think of the topic, that is the tissues or the effect of nutrition on different tissues, oral tissues, and think of each one. So first, when you think of teeth, what you need to remember is that nutrition affects it how? Through developmental defects. Mucosa, how? By showing deficiency signs. Periodontium, how? By immunity and collagen impact. Saliva, how? By flow reduction. And cancer, how? Antioxidant protection. What is the systemic link? Diabetes, anemia, and obesity. Now, I want you to take this rapid frame and write it out once tonight, because memory builds through action. Now let's see a flashcard and MCQ from this topic. What is the dentist's role in nutrition and oral health? It is to identify the deficiencies, educate, collaborate, community participation, and encourage visits to the dental clinic. What is the dentist's pivotal role in early detection emphasize? A. Dentists should only perform restorative procedures. B. Oral examination is valuable for identifying systemic nutritional deficiencies. C. Nutritional assessment is outside dental scope. And D. Only specialists can detect deficiencies. The answer is B. Oral examination is valuable for identifying systemic nutritional problems. So don't stop here. Go and test yourself with MCQs and flashcards inside our Medi Study Go app or on Instagram. Did you know that you could take any part of this lecture today and turn it into a flashcard inside the app right now? Go and try it. Create your flashcards, review them, master your topics. Our Mind Map books are also available on Amazon, Flipkart, Dental Cart, and our website. So use them alongside these videos for maximum retention. If you're confused about which book to buy or which suits you, message us on WhatsApp and we'll guide you very clearly. And if you're serious about your consistency, keep your app streak alive. The longest streak gets invited to the next Dental Spotlight in 2026. Now, if this courtroom format has helped you see the logic instead of memorizing points, please stay connected. Tag your friends, tag your study partners who also need this clarity. And next time you see any signs of deficiency in a patient, take that extra time and investigate. I'll come to you again soon with the next hearing. Bye bye.